Well, good morning. I'm really happy to be here. Now, it's actually really interesting because a couple of days ago, I got an email from that woman right there about what songs I wanted for the service. And whenever I do mediumship, I like to have like upbeat songs because if you're a medium, and let's say you're working with some group of people just like this, and everybody is lethargic, they're like corpses, they're more alive in the spirit world, what do you want? You want songs that are upbeat. So anyway, the order of the songs, I normally have that one right before the mediumship. So we'll have to see what happens when we actually proceed to the mediumship. But the big thing is, you're not dead yet, are you? And if we're psychic, we can predict that every one of us is going to kick the bucket. And hopefully there's no asteroid that's on its way. It's going to hit Western Massachusetts. But at some point, we're all going to pass over, aren't we? We're going to make a transition. And we're still going to exist. And of course, we have that song, Battle Hymn for Republic, which was actually, when it was written by its author, when it was composed by someone heavily into spiritualism. We go back into the Civil War era. So many people all over the world were into experimenting. They were into investigating the phenomenon of spiritualism. The idea that you're able to communicate with individuals who've kicked the bucket, and yet they can communicate with us. So you go to this temple, and Lake Pleasant, it's 150 years, this was established as a spiritualist summer camp meeting. Can you imagine that? You used to get tens of thousands of people who would go here just over the summer months, on the weekend, it would be literally 10,000 people, 15,000 people from all over the country. Some of the most prominent mediums have worked here in Lake Pleasant. So there's this residue energy that's here. You drive onto the grounds, and you might look in your peripheral vision. You'll actually notice the spirit people walking around. Does anyone have this happen? Because there's lots of people here from the spirit world. Every one of you is a spirit. It's not like you have a soul, because you are a soul. You're eternal. Every molecule, every atom within your physical body, what happens biologically? It's always in a state of flux. So every 7 years you get a new body. But the personality who you are, spiritually, is eternal. You've always existed. It's not like you were created somehow. There's never been a time when you have not existed. And sometimes people, wow, can I live after death? But did I live before death as well? And so there's really, as an individual, you were there before conception. And where were you? In my Father's house are many mansions. And after something happens, you're going to continue to exist. And the spirit world, it's not in some far-off place. Now, it's a bit far out to be able to communicate with the spirit world. I mean, people get into this. They go on TV, and they watch all these mediums that walk up to people in public and shopping malls and give them messages. Has anyone ever seen this on television? I don't watch TV. The poor medium gets maced from doing things like that. But that's not what we do. We learn how to discipline and control our abilities. And we're able to turn it on, we're able to turn it off. But we talk about energy and vibration. So we have this temple has residue energy, but every single one of you has an energy that radiates from you. And that can be really good energy, or it can be really lousy energy. Do any of you have bad energy? Hopefully not. But the big thing is through our thoughts, we can change that vibration that's around us. We had the healing during the service. And someone can literally be geographically in another continent, on the other side of the country. And when you pray for that person, when you put out your loving intention to reach that person with the healing, that energy of God will touch that person. How many of you have experienced that? It doesn't just matter placing your hands on someone and praying over them like we have with the hands-on healing. But every one of you has the power of God within your heart. What did the Master Jesus teach? He taught, greater things than I you can do. So the spiritualist movement, it's really about empowering people. It's really about getting people in touch with who they are. Because when you put energy into your spirituality, which really is the entire purpose of our existence, is to work on ourselves spiritually, is to understand that we are eternal, right? We're not these temporary physical bodies. And so we place a lot of energy into concerns here in this material world, this impermanent material world. Concerns that on a larger scale, even though they might concern us, aren't really so important. And we see this. Someone might go to a medium. Oh, I want to know a man at work. I'm having an affair with him. When's he going to leave his husband for me? I went to all these psychics and they said it was going to happen. It's been 7 years and he still isn't leaving his wife. Did anyone ever ask a medium something like this? Do any of you phone up mediums and ask them what color sweater to wear in the morning? But people ask things like this, no fault of their own. But really, we have to think about, why are we here? And as we're existing in this physical world, how can we improve ourselves? Because the spirits, when they observe us from their vantage point in the realm of spirit, they can see completely where we're at in our physical plane life. You might you schedule a session with a medium. Has anyone done that? Call them up on the phone, maybe they're at a distance, or you go visit them physically. You've made an appointment with that medium. But you've made an appointment with the world of spirit. And they're going to arrange who comes through from the spirit world. You might really want to hear from certain people. Those individuals, your mother, your third husband, they might not come through at all. And then your aunt come through, and you literally hated the woman's guts. So why is she coming through? And sometimes that session that you have, the communications, it's more to help that person in the spirit world than it is for you. And they know what's going on. So if you've got certain defects of character, or you've got toxicities within your mind and heart, right? Dysfunctions with how you interact with others, or perhaps even dysfunctions with how you take care of yourself. What are the spirits going to try to do? They're going to lovingly try to give you support, try to impart guidance to you that will help you to alter your thinking. And when we alter the way that we think about things, our attitudes and our thoughts, we're also able to change how the situations that we're dealing with take place in our own physical lives. Because we can't control the overall situation, can we? But we can control moment by moment our response to different situations. Some people feel, everything is out of control, it's completely crazy. And it probably is. But how you handle those particular situations, we have free will. And the spirit world, the higher spirits, they're not going to tell us what to do necessarily. They're not going to make the decision for us. However, to the best of their ability, they're going to try to influence us to make the best possible choice, to handle and respond to situations in a way that we're actually going to learn. How many of you have the same scenario repeat itself? Does anyone have this happen? You could be in 10 hellish jobs, 10 hellish relationships, a pattern, and you can't break it. The spirits are able to see that type of situation. So you go to a medium, they can give you insight that will empower you. And spiritualism is about empowerment. It's about taking responsibility because we're the captains of our own ship. And often you get people thinking about this stuff like it's some type of fortune telling. You know, I'm going to go to the medium, and they're going to tell me what I should eat next Wednesday night for dinner. Should I have lasagna or pizza? And people approach it this way. But when it comes to free will, even if we mess up, and I know every single one of us has probably messed up a lot if we go back, if we reflect. And if you think even where you were just a couple of years ago and reflect how much progress you've made, hopefully. Because the doorway is never slammed shut to growth, is it? And the spirits want to encourage us. Even if we fall off, we slide back down, we take steps backward, they will go way out of their way to assist you. It's all about energy. It's all about vibration. And in this physical world, the bodies that we inhabit, the senses that we have, they're really nice in terms of experiencing this physical reality around us. Of course, as one ages, or even with disease, we can have limitations with the senses. Deterioration with the senses are going to take place. Just like some species, the souls in those bodies. If you're in a dog, we have a dog here. That dog can smell things that you can't smell, can hear sounds that you can't hear. But the spirit dimension, we have to approach with the powers of our own mind, right? The psychic, the intuitive. So with spiritualism, we learn how to raise our vibration, how to make our minds receptive to the influence of the spirit world. And that's pretty good. You know, we have all these different levels of the spirit world. So you might not want to hear from your mother-in-law, she's deceased. There's certain people you wouldn't necessarily want to receive advice from, but there are higher spirits. There are personalities who are very evolved in terms of the effort they put in within their incarnations spiritually. And those guides, those teachers, they can impart greater wisdom to your mind. We learn to work on raising our vibration meditatively. And of course, if we learn also how to get our analytical mind out of the way, your mind is going to be receptive to the spirit influence. All of you, a lot of spirit people connected to you. Now, just because they're over there doesn't make them more developed than you. Oftentimes, we have someone really dysfunctional, and they go to the spirit world. And part of their process of healing, part of their evolution, is to be around people here in this physical world, perhaps loved ones connected to them, and learn from those individuals. You know, observe those individuals. How is that person handling different situations? Because they go to the spirit world and they have to reflect on how they handle things, and they're made aware of all the ways that they went about things the wrong way. And they're putting all this energy into the material, into the selfishness, as opposed to really opening up more to the Great Spirit and that beautiful unconditional love and selflessness that comes when we actually start to work on ourselves spiritually. Because every one of you has the gifts of the Spirit, which is what we encourage within spiritualism, right? Greater things than you can do. So you start to work on yourself. And of course, if you combine that with developing your own mediumistic abilities, those in the spirit will start to speak to you. Do any of you hear voices? Hopefully you won't need to be institutionalized, but you start to open up to the spirits. And they'll not just work with trying to help you to improve your own life. They'll also empower you to work through you to help those around you here in this physical world. Because spiritualism emphasizes that we are our sisters and our brothers' keepers, right? No individual is an island unto themselves. And when we go into the world of the spirit, we will reflect and hopefully really observe that we put emphasis in our spiritual growth, as opposed to just going there and thinking, oh my gosh, I wasted so much time. I put so much energy into things that were superficial. that in the overall scheme of things really didn't matter so much. When we think about the service that we do, the opportunities that are brought into our physical plane life, to open our hearts, right? To go about things in a way which is loving, that elevates others around us, that reaches out to those who might be less fortunate and struggling through things, be it of the body or the mind. The spirit world, they know your heart. And even though they're aware of our faults, our defects, they want to emphasize the goodness. They want to emphasize the spiritual potency that's there. And they want to encourage us to seek God and to seek the higher truth. So I want to encourage all of you. If you haven't been here before, what do you want to do? You want to come back. And the more you study this, it's really a very good addiction. And unlike certain substances that you can become hopelessly addicted to, there's not going to be any harmful side effects. What we get into within spiritualism will only enhance your life for the better. So may God bless each and every one of you.